Welcome back, sci-fi fans, to another episode of the Science Fictionary podcast.
This is gonna be fun.
I'm Andrew here with Marisha, and very happy to have Nicole joining us again to talk about She-Hulk.
Hooray!
Sorry, there's an invisible countdown that you can't see. I can see it, but you can't. And I had already hit the button when you asked that question, and I tried to stop it, and it just went right on through.
I heard your answer, so we're
Oh,
good.
did you? Okay. I saw it. Marisha hasn't seen it, but I watched it last night.
Hey, bro.
Bro,
Man.
and TV.
Welcome to my bedroom. This is you guys can't see anything. There's just a headboard behind me. It's all good.
So, quick disclaimer: anything in the chat under my name is not actually me. One of my kids is watching on my profile. So it's it now. If she were here, you might think she was Marisha because we favor just a little bit. But it is indeed not me. My mini me.
Now, just curiosity, because I should probably have asked this. How old is this youngin that's going to be watching?
13.
Okay, so right, because obviously there's a little bit of adult content. So I was just curious.
Well,
okay, sorry, I'm adjusting things. I'm not.
Should I take her off a bit?
So.
Hey, Anna.
If we go there, there.
Okay. If I tell you, you have to back out of this stream. No, that's fair. My kids do listen to this show, so generally I do.
Well, they don't listen to the YouTube content.
No, they listen to the podcast. So we usually do give disclaimers like, okay, it's not family friendly anymore. Go away now.
I will do my best. I know I was on with Danny Comics and Cosmetics the other day, and we did have a small discussion, not long, about some more adult content of it.
Yeah,
so
no, we will kick Iana off in a minute because there are a couple of things I do want to discuss. So we will.
She's also not 8 though. She's 13.
She's not 8, but we also didn't let her watch those parts
That's
a certain
true.
part of the show.
That's
so.
True. We were just like, all right, that episode's over, and she gets outed on at an award show, and we just kind of went from there.
Yeah. Okay, Dragon Buddy, does this work? This is as close as I get to earmuffs right now.
I mean, it's like 50 degrees here. It's definitely earmuff season.
No, we are 38 degrees right now.
Is it really in the 30s out there?
It's probably in the low 40s. It was 31 when we woke up this morning.
Yeah, it's chilly. But you guys are in Mississippi, so of course it's supposed to be a little bit warmer there. If you guys were getting my weather, I'd be like, so is it snowing?
Yeah, I think we're supposed to hit low 30s tonight. We hit them last night. I think we're supposed to hit them tonight, and then it's supposed to jump right back into the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
So I think tomorrow the low in the morning is going to be 33, and it's supposed to be like 75 by tomorrow afternoon. So.
Ooh.
Yeah. So that's the thing. We do get cold here. We just get massive temperature swings.
Yeah.
And it'll probably be, in the mid 80s again. Just the back and forth. That's what wreaks havoc on people's sinuses. Like one of my kids woke up this morning like, hi, Mom. I was like, nope, here we go. Have some medicine.
Because this season, and Big BB gets it. It's 32 and dropping. Yep.
Not that fun.
All right. So as we do this, because we didn't really get a chance to do the previous episode either. So I mostly want to talk the finale, but the previous episode, well, really it's the finale. So the whole series is kind of fair game if we want to reflect back on things. Yeah, we didn't get to do it last week because things were just, everything in our house was breaking.
Right. It's understandable. Life take care. In our Red 5, we take care of each other and we take care of our families and stuff. So I get it. So
being an adult sucks.
Yeah, I'm in agreement. Like
being an adult is mostly just expensive.
It's true.
That too.
In some, so it's like, you have kids and you're like, oh, I get to spend money doing things for my kids. That's fun. Like a pipe bust. No, that's not very cute.
Oh, Alan's here.
Hey.
I haven't seen Alan in forever in here.
I know. I'm seeing him on Monday. I'm so excited, you guys. He's doing this horror show, like game thing. I am stoked. I cannot wait for Monday. It's gonna be so much fun.
Yeah. Sweet.
Cool. Well, let's just jump right in. Nicole, I'll let you kick us off. What did you think about the last couple episodes of this show?
For the last couple episodes, so one for me, I definitely loved episode 8. Well, I loved the last like 2 episodes really. Overall, I mean, I give this show like a 6 to a 7, depending on which episode. I love, again, we talked about this before. I said I love the fact that I love all these Easter eggs, and I still do. Towards the end, I was still all about those Easter eggs. Although I felt like it stepped up its game, you know, when Matt Murdock showed up. I'm like, yes.
Oh, I was so excited.
Yeah,
Man,
yeah,
I was
me
so
too.
excited.
And good night, Alan. But overall, I mean, I like it. This is going to sound odd for some people. So, and if you get offended by this, people, then you need to understand this. This is a show. It's fiction, okay? Is overall, like, there was a couple big takeaways for me. One, there was proof in the pudding that you can base something based off of a comic book and people are still not going to be happy. There is still moments where like we totally got trolled. They really they were ahead of this game. Like this screenwriters, like they wrote this as if they already knew what the fans were going to say. I'm not saying that that was a good or a bad thing. Some things I really liked. I'm like, dude, they called it out. And some things I actually appreciated that they called out, because I feel like some things, I don't know. I feel like fandoms these days, I don't know, sometimes we get a little too much, you know, like we just get too serious about it. Like even today, something happened in Andor, and I'm like, well, where's all of his mean tweets that, you know, but Matt Murdock doesn't do that. You know, I'm like, well, nobody going to say anything? Nothing. Right. But, you know, if it's She-Hulk and if it's Jen Walters or if it's Matt Murdock, it's like, I heard a lot. If you know what I know, you know what I mean, you know? Yeah. Because there's something that happened in Andor today that happened in the last 2 episodes, and people were all up in a tizzy. And it's like going, do you not know her character or his character? Like, and nobody before they said anything. And I thought, yeah, about that, you know? So.
No, it's.
Hence, I asked if you guys watched Andor today, because I was like,
Yeah, so I know exactly what you're referring to, and I haven't been online at all today. So
DB, 100%, yes. DB nailed exactly what I'm thinking and feeling right now.
The truth is, I think the thing that I honestly appreciate about this show the most, and this is going to really, like, people are going to listen to this and probably get a really off perception of who I am. But the truth is, they made fun of a lot of different the way that people react, the way the angry YouTubers act. They just plain and simple made fun of it to their face. And
they made fun of themselves. Yeah. And they actually, I heard in behind the scenes stuff that I had seen, they even cut out stuff because they felt like they went too far. And I'm like, whoa, I want to see that unedited version. What was too far? Because I'm just like, curious.
The funniest thing though was watching, so Intelligentsia, at the Intelligentsia meeting, and they're giving all the most classic, like, toxic jackass lines, right? I would have said just the same thing if it had been a man, right? They're giving all the lines.
Yeah.
And so what do all the YouTubers do? They say exactly the things. It's like, y'all, they're trolling you.
Well, it's like they come out, they make fun of the people, and then the people they made fun of respond by doing the exact thing they just got made fun of for. It's like,
yes.
Come on, y'all.
Just I mean, like a little bit of self-awareness wouldn't kill you.
And again, and I loved the last episode, that fourth wall break. I'm like, and some people were like, oh, why did she do that? And it's like, when she did it in the comics, like, I don't know what to tell you.
Right. She used to break out of the frame in comics and have conversations with the writers. Right.
And she turned into us for a minute, like, hey, let me sit down and talk to Kevin. Hey, want to talk to us about X-Men? All the things that we have been wanting to know and ask about. Oh, and then the excitement of hearing the Wakanda drums.
Mhm.
Oh, my heart. It raced. I was so excited. And again, I was just eating it up with a spoon with as ice cream and just, to me, I just didn't take the show seriously. So maybe that's why I was able to enjoy it more. Like, is I didn't take it full. Okay, to some degree. Okay. Sometimes I was like, oh, this is going to happen. This is going to happen. And then in the long run, I'm like, okay, this makes sense now. There's still, if I'm correct, from what I'm hearing, this was only the first season.
Yeah, word is that they're already working hard on a second season. So
right, but at the same time, it makes sense. I know we'll go there. We'll get there. I know we'll talk about that because I'm like, oh my gosh, I already have an idea of what's going to happen with Matt Murdock because we kind of already know where he's going next, which actually made me surprised that it made me surprised with how they handled him in the last episode. But then again, Matt Murdock, sorry people who thought he was 100% pure, because I did see some of those comments. He wasn't like that. Not even in Netflix was he like that. So
no, he was quite the ladies' man.
Yes, Yes, there are moments I had to like, is this worth my time? Is this just scroll? I would tell myself, just scroll. You don't have time. People don't want to listen. They don't want to listen. So what are you gonna do? I'd rather talk about it with you guys and have fun about it. So
we actually had that exact conversation because we just briefly talked She-Hulk with our other co-host on our podcast, whatever. Most recently when we recorded, and he was like, he's like such a womanizer. It's like the line, like, how can you always tell which ones are pretty? You can't even see. How do you always know?
I mean, that's one of the first times we meet him in the Netflix series is Foggy. Like, how does he always know?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
and they at least kept the heartbeat thing. There's a lot of things that they kept. And a lot of people don't understand. I was just reading an article. I sent it to Andrew beforehand. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. I got stuck reading because I was reading about Matt Murdock. And I'm like, he knows that this character is going to slightly change. But for the most part, his character really hasn't. It's just we have changed. As people. We've kind of changed and grown. And, people don't want to admit like, oh, yeah, Matt Murdock he would hook up with She-Hulk. You know what I mean? And they're both like that. I'm sorry. And none of us here wrote it. It's what, Stan Lee and other writers originally wrote. Like,
right.
And Stan Lee loved She-Hulk. He loved her. He loved his character. So,
yeah. I mean, as far as I'm aware, the She-Hulk comics have often been better received than even Hulk comics. She's a huge fan favorite. And then they turn around, they do the character, and they make it. I mean, this was honestly, as far as comic book to screen, like one of the more accurate comic book to screen anything in the MCU.
Yeah,
it's like watching a comic book on your TV.
Right, exactly. And that's why I was just like, it was also proof that not everybody was still going to be happy about it, even if it was from the comic books.
Yeah. And the thing is like, I really appreciate a lot of things they did in this show. I'm like you. I think overall, I don't think I could give the show more than like a 6 or a 7.
Right.
Now, I would give those last 2 episodes a solid 8.5. Those last 2 episodes are great.
Love those last 2.
Things that I love. On the finale, like it's just goofy. Like, she wants Matt Murdock back in, and so there's not a logical place to insert him. So he literally spawns in like a video game character. He just falls out of the sky, and there's Matt Murdock. And it's like, but I love we get him, we get to see him in a fight, and we do a new hallway scene with Daredevil, and it's a hallway scene, right? And I know a lot of people are upset and saying like, this isn't. Oh, they made Daredevil a joke. They made. Like, this isn't Daredevil. We told you that the MCU would ruin Daredevil, blah, blah, blah. No, it's like, this is Daredevil in She-Hulk. And then we talked about this a lot with David last week, was this is She-Hulk's show. So he needs to fit the tone of She-Hulk's show.
Right.
Yeah. He doesn't need to be the Netflix Daredevil in this.
again, going back to that article I was reading, you know, the day that episode come out, his nephew was over. I was reading it, and he had said he doesn't go on social media. Charlie Cox does not go on social media, does not have it, doesn't like it. Yeah. And that's because you never know. And he said, you know, he did see a lot of good positive, but there was a lot of, you know, but at the same time, like, this is why he you know, he loved being back. He loved being a part. He does talk about Tatiana really well, highly, actually. Yeah. You know, he knows that like their scenes were, that chemistry was real, because he even talked about how it was flirty, actually, in the article. And it's like, okay, you know, I thought they did really good together. They really worked well together. So, yeah. And people need to buckle up and get ready, because he's not done yet. Because the next place we're going to see him pop up is going to be in Echo. And he was with Echo in the comic book. So people better get ready right now, because he was already with her too. And this is before we finally get to his show. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. I'm excited, because I'm excited for Charlie Cox, because he was excited to come back to this role. You know, this is his, you know what I mean? Like, he's our Daredevil, and I'm excited for him. So.
Well, and also, he's not in Hell's Kitchen dealing. This is Matt Murdock doing, you know, we do the us and then we do the them. He's just out there paying the bills for a minute. He doesn't have, I mean, sometimes you leave your normal, I mean, honestly, sometimes whenever I leave town for work, Andrew's like, you just seem so much more chill. It's like, yeah, because like once I get done, there's no more responsibilities.
Right.
It's like, and I love my responsibilities and I love my life, but
it's nice.
You know, it's but whenever they're not there, then it's like I don't have anything to, like, I don't have to worry about what people are going to eat. You know, if people have taken a shower, have you done your science for the day? You know, like I don't have to worry about any of that stuff. That's all on him.
Right.
So there is something about not having the normal pressures of your life, or, you know, you can be maybe a little more fun version of yourself.
Well, yeah, there's that, and they're gonna want to do the character slightly different in this version. And there's also, I saw an interview with Charlie Cox. I don't even remember where I saw it, where he was talking about how he's just in a better place now.
Yeah. He's happy about it. He's like, so I can't help but be infectious myself about his attitude. His attitude makes me want to enjoy him more, his character more, and be more open, because he's happy.
Yeah. And honestly, I feel like, you know, even this same character that we see in this show, if he shows, you know, like he goes back to real life and all of a sudden he's got his real pressures, like none of his, he's not worried about what the bad guys in LA are doing on the whole. Because that's not what is it? Not my monkey's not my circus. So, you know, and I think that's reasonable. And I think that we will see a little more of an intense version. Although, I mean, whenever you see him interacting as Matt Murdock, even in the Netflix show, you know, he's got a lot of, you know, he's sarcastic and he's like always cracking jokes and, you know, like, you know, making fun of the blind man's choice, you know, like that's very typical, like the, you know,
Murdoch, right?
Those kinds of, you know, those kinds of interactions are really typical of him. We just don't see the tortured side of him in this, and you know, like
by the time we get to his show,
right? And I think that we will, and I think that he's still going to be that person. But even tortured people aren't tortured all the time.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, I don't have to be, at least.
Yeah. I have to ask you a question, Marisha, because I know you're into costume and stuff. So I'm curious. So that final episode of the season, that beginning, or this is even a question just for Andrew too. She had all the different costumes from the 70s. Did you see them? They were so quick and it was so neat.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
And I was like, and then they did the Savage Hulk, and they did it like as if it was like the 1980s with the build. Oh my gosh, I loved that scene. I'm like, that was creative.
Yeah, and the little look that they had whenever hit her and Bruce standing there. Look at all.
Yeah. Imagine that CGI.
So funny.
Remember back in the day when it looked like this? I again, they totally got us, and I love it. But again, I don't take it seriously. So yeah.
Yeah. So I think they did a lot of things. I enjoyed for the most part. I mean, obviously there was part of the whole thing with Daredevil, which is a part that I watched as an adult. I don't have an issue with it. But it's why I watch things before all my kids watched them. And so when we watched with the kids, we did skip a part. You know, but you know, it's not like this is the first show we've had to do that with, and it won't be the last. It's just kind of like there's this blurring of the lines of, oh, hey, here's this show, it's for kids, but it's also gonna do, it's also gonna do this thing. It's like, well, it can't. At least for me, it can't really be both things. I'm sure some people don't have an issue with it.
Yeah.
For me in my household, it's a problem, and
so, but you well, you know.
I mean, we had the same issue with Eternals, which we went to go see in the theater because we.
That was a shock.
It's like
I was like, my Ben's 16-year-old niece, who's going to be 17. No, was she 17? It doesn't matter. It was over the summer, so I think she was 17. And she looked at me and said, "Was that even necessary to the movie?" Like, she was very, very, like, she's like, it would make sense if it made sense, but it wasn't needed. And she's, so.
Right. And when you read from what the writers and the director said, they just put it in there because they really wanted to put it in there. It didn't matter. It didn't matter if it made sense. It's like, that's not, it's not how you write a movie.
Right.
And I think they could have pulled back from where they went in this one a little bit. But again, I don't have a problem. Right. I don't have a problem with it. I'm just kind of going, like, you gotta, like, I don't like not knowing which camp you're in when I'm watching it. Like, I want to know, because I don't always like having to watch things before I watch them with my kids. Sometimes I like to sit down and watch something for the first time with them. Some things I know I need to watch beforehand. This was one I didn't necessarily think I was going to have to watch beforehand, but when it got to that next to last episode, I was like, okay, because we got ready to watch it with the kids, and I was like, I don't know. I think you need to watch, because Marisha hadn't seen it yet. I was like, I think you need to watch this one before we make a decision on it. And actually, I see Joker's comment about the original Hulk series. I thought the intro was great. I thought, I don't think it was disrespectful at all. It was an homage to the original Hulk intro, which was a cheesy, campy show. Like, as everything superheroes was at that point in time.
Yeah, I think if you went in with a different attitude, this perspective of being lighthearted, remembering that it's just a show and have fun, I think that just changes everything. So, like, it's if you're easily offended, this show was not for you. You know what I mean?
And as far as I'm concerned, the more Emil Blonsky that just hops across for any reason at all, the happier I am. He is so much fun.
So where do y'all think Blonsky is off to?
He's a Comertage.
Well, but like, where will we see him again?
Well, I don't know. We know Wong was busy on another show.
Yeah.
It's a golden age of television.
Well, they left it. Well, they left it vague. He got sucked into another show. Was another him watching another show or him in another show? They didn't. They didn't.
Oh, that was another thing, because they really could have been going to watch shows together.
Yeah, because he's like, we clearly see that yes, the binge watching thing. So yeah.
I guess we're gonna see. We could see. Wong, I would assume we're going to see again in Shang-Chi. We'll see. We'll see where it goes. Because, we'll just see.
Yeah, so I'm curious to see. I really thought, my first thought when he left was Thunderbolts, right? Like, I still think there's a strong chance that he winds up as part of the Thunderbolts. But that is also a very good chance. See, now, okay, hold up. I got to talk about this. We got to talk about something.
that has been talked about, but didn't happen in She-Hulk. So the night before She-Hulk started, myself and my Rogue One radio peeps, we talked about She-Hulk, and we talked about the Hulk movies, and I had mentioned the Red Hulk, and originally I was thinking female, right? But there is a male counterpart, and somebody else had mentioned it, and of course in the last few days we know that Harrison Ford is officially gonna be the Red Hulk, and I'm like, oh, I was right, we're getting Red Hulk, and I'm excited for whenever that happens. I'm very excited. And we know more is coming because Scar was there. I mean, I am so excited. I can't remember. Was it you guys that said that the World of Hulk? I can't remember if it was you or maybe it was Danny. Somebody predicted that one and they got it right.
Yeah, we talked about that. I think last time you were on, we talked about that.
I was just like, oh, somebody got that right. I couldn't remember who it was. So somebody mentioned it, the World of Hulk, and this could be it. And I'm like, well, somebody got that one right.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what they do. Actually, what I want to know is the details of who owns what. You know, the reason we've never gotten, but Marvel Studios has never made a Hulk movie. The Hulk movie was Marvel before. Well, it was before the Disney acquisition. So Disney's never made a Hulk movie.
Right.
And the problem is that Universal owns all the distribution rights to the Hulk.
There must be some deal. Something must be going on.
Well, or maybe what I'm thinking is, so they can't make a Hulk solo film without having to give Universal a whole bunch of money. But if they do World War Hulk and bring in all these other characters, then I think they probably are okay to do it with it, because I know Disney doesn't want to pay Universal a dime. They're already having a big fight. Well, actually, I will pull back on that because Disney really wants to put the superheroes in the parks in Orlando.
Yeah.
And right now they can't. Right. Because Universal owns the theme park rights to a whole bunch of them big Marvel characters. Yeah. So unless that's what's going on, unless they were working something out with Universal to do that, then that would be the only way I can see that. But otherwise, Universal is their big competitor. They don't want to just be writing checks to Universal to make movies.
Right. And I think the other thing with Scar is that it will also be an addition. Again, I've been saying this since WandaVision. I'm like, okay, so when are we going to start getting Young Avengers? And like, it's like every show, every movie, I've seen somebody where I've gone, that person, these two, that one. And it's like, you can see that they're slowly getting us there to that next, it's like the passing of the torch, Yeah.
And well, it's like the X-Men. It's like every movie. It's like, all right, another member of the Young Avengers. When are we going to get it? All right, another build up to the X-Men. And so it's gone to the point where I think every project, someone predicts Young Avengers and somebody predicts X-Men, because eventually we've got to be right. Right.
But I think it's because they're building it up. But you got to remember, I mean, they built up the first took them 5-10 years to get from Iron Man to that last thing. So it takes time, and I think we have to also enjoy the journey, the path, what's getting us there, and to not always keeping us so serious. If you're not, 100% serious, we're good.
And also, I think we're kind of coming across like our heroes are some of them kind of moving on to another stage in life where they're investing more in their families and their proteges.
Yeah.
And that's a natural part of, life, is that eventually the experts retire and somebody has to to fill in. And so I think we're kind of seeing them. They're not quite ready to give it to like, turn it in yet. But, because I think that if all of a sudden they were like, and here's the whole cast, next movie, here they are, I think it might feel a little cheap.
Yeah, no, I do appreciate that they're taking that. And that's what Marvel has largely done really good at, is taking their time and building things and not rushing into that. This is the difference between Marvel and DC. DC just takes it all, throws it against the wall, and hopes it sticks. Marvel builds it. Well, I mean, that's seriously. I mean, we basically do one movie and then we do Justice League. It's like or at least Batman versus Superman. So we're gonna throw all these characters together after one Superman movie. Like we didn't even see a Batman movie with this Batman, and we're already putting them against each other.
Yeah.
So Marvel has always done a good job with the build up. The one exception to that, the one time where they jumped too quick into giving a big group of characters, I think, was the Eternals. And I don't know what the other option necessarily was because they're all kind of need to be together. But it just felt like these characters, like, you know, it comes out and it's like, who are these people and why am I supposed to care? Yeah, I don't know about that one, Joker.
I guess only time will tell. I mean,
it's true. I mean, I think Black Adam will do very well.
And Henry Cavill certainly ain't gonna hurt it.
It may not be tomorrow night. It might not be until next week. But Black Panther Wakanda Forever, I will be there the night of. So
yeah, I mean, that's one of those things. Like, we still don't have a theater in town. It's a 90-mile drive to a theater.
Oh yeah, so you got to pick and choose.
Right, so I'll pick and choose, and I will see Black Panther on opening weekend. I will see Black Adam. I will absolutely see Black Adam, but it's going to have to be like when I can find time.
Maybe the same weekend we go to see Black Panther. See them both.
Maybe.
Yeah, if it's still out. I mean, you really can't tell depending on how it's going.
True.
Right. Yeah, with these shorter theater release windows, it's hard to know that.
Yeah. Right. I wonder, do y'all think that that's going to be just like the new thing, or do you think that so basically, do you think the theater going experience has changed forever, or do you think that it will go a little bit more towards what we used to have?
I hope we kind of go back a little bit. I mean, I still enjoy going to the theaters. I love going to get my popcorn, and it's kind of like with Andor with the Eye last week. I'm like, oh, I would have loved to seen that on the big screen. Yeah. But you know,
it's going to depend. I'm not sure what to expect with that. Theaters, the theater companies want it to go back. They're going to push for it to go back because they're losing money. All of the theater chains are hurting right now. I'm still curious to see if someone is going to buy up Regal.
Yeah.
Wasn't it Regal that declared bankruptcy? Or was it who was it? I can't remember. So many of them bought each other over the last couple of decades that I can't remember who's anymore. But I know AMC's stock is way down, and there's none of them that are doing great. So
but we're also coming back from what we were coming back from, and we got to think that there's other things involved, and that all happens. So
yeah,
you know, so you just got to smash it and keep it going.
Yeah. But there are companies out there that would love to snatch up theater companies. So, you know, all the stuff expired that prevented studios from owning theaters.
Yeah.
So now with studios able to own theaters, that's what would change it forever. If studios start buying theaters, it's forever changed.
Yeah.
For now, I think we're still moving back towards what used to be the theater experience, but it's going to still take us a couple more years to get there.
Bro knows what's up.
Yes.
So She-Hulk.
Yeah, back to She-Hulk. We kind of went on a little bit.
Well, I mean, you've seen our show. You know that we have some
this is what we do. This is.
It's the tangent.
We can sit down and start talking about one thing, and an hour later we're like, "What was this show about?" Like,
it's always funny because you can tell whoever's technically hosting that episode because they will eventually say, "All right," and Daredevil, you know, because it's just the conversation has just gone so far afield.
Yeah.
Hector Lorian is in the chat. Hey. Thanks for jumping in. But yeah, back to She-Hulk. The next to last episode How many episodes were there total?
8.
There were 8 total. Okay. So
and I liked 7 and 8. Those were my
7 and 8 were great. 7 was really good. I have the little hiccup with 7 where I have to like edit for my children. Like, I'd rather not have to do that. But, you know, if I had been watching it thinking, oh, this is a show for adults, it wouldn't have even fazed me. It was still very tame compared to what is on other places.
Yeah. Thank you, JV. No, you're right. It is 9. So it was 8 and 9 were my.
Okay, that's what was throwing me off. I kept thinking, I think it's 9, but that doesn't sound right.
I like the other ones. Those were 6s and 7s to me.
Yeah.
The last one.
Yeah. You know, it's one of those shows, like I said this last time we talked about it. It's what most sitcoms are these days. It's mediocre TV that gives you a couple of laughs along the way.
Right. And that's what we have to remember, is that this was more like a sitcom feel. And this was not supposed to be taken completely seriously. Like, you know, have fun.
Yeah. So I do love that She-Hulk got her hallway fight in the style of Marvel television. Except that it's against Disney employees. It's the security on the Disney lot.
That was funny.
So the first time we watched it, I noticed that they you'll have to talk to Kevin, Kevin. Right,
Did you catch that?
With the cat?
The subtitles?
Well, no, the subtitles. We watch a lot of things with the subtitles on.
Me too.
So when she busts into the writer's room, and every time one of them says Kevin, it's in all caps. It's the acronym.
Yeah.
So you knew.
Like you were like, oh, so it's an AI. They're doing something with AI.
Oh, I did not recognize it was going to be an AI. I just went Kevin, but I knew who they were talking about, and I was like, wait, what's going on? This is interesting. And then when it happened, I was like, that was creative.
Right. Initially, the subtitles were actually the acronym, which gave it away completely. Right. And when we rewatched it with the kids, we noticed that they had actually gone back and corrected the subtitles where you don't see the acronym.
It just says the
until
name.
you actually meet.
Yeah.
That was pretty fun.
Which was a good fix because it did kind of throw it off.
I want to go meet Kevin. Like, I want to meet Kevin. I'll talk to the AI. I have no problem.
Funny.
Well, let's just talk about, what really is the big twist for the show, which is the big fourth wall break.
The ending.
Yeah, it's the ending, because we get this ending that's just kind of like, where she breaks the wall and says, "This is nonsense." Like,
but that was in the comic books. People need to understand that was you and I know this because we're readers, and Marisha knows too. And if you were a comic book reader, you knew that this is what she did. And good night, JB. Thank you for dropping in.
Thanks for dropping in and hanging out for a few minutes.
Yeah, appreciate it. So that was a really cool. So it did surprise me. It did surprise me at the same time because I wasn't expecting that they would actually do it. So creative to see how they did it. I'd like to still know how they did it because I'm like, how do graphic artists do that? That's like, it's got to be a lot of time.
I want to know when she looks at this camera and says, "Is this what you guys want?" And it goes to the Disney homepage, the Disney Plus homepage, and I want to know how many people reached for their remotes, thinking they had gotten kicked out of the show.
Yeah, I was like, wait, and then all of a sudden I was like, what? Moving. She's moving.
So funny. They're like, "What happened?" And then she comes busting out. They're like, "What? What?" It was like it was fun because I had seen talk online about the big fourth wall break. So I was kind of prepared for something pretty meta. But of course they don't have social media, so they didn't get spoiled on any of it. So it was just like, what the hell is this?
Well, I think probably the fun thing for the kids watching it was that, they're not that familiar with the whole fourth wall breaking.
Right. As a trope.
As a trope. So, do what?
So this is our oldest daughter. This is her comment. So yeah. And you know, sometimes I forget, like when you watch a lot of TV, you kind of expect things, you know, just because you've read a lot of stories, you've seen a lot of, you know, you consumed a lot of this stuff. So you kind of have some expectation for how this goes. But it's kind of fun to watch it with them sometimes because they're like the perfect audience because they don't have preconceived notions for how this is going to go and what's going to happen. And, you know, like, oh, this is how fourth wall breaks work, you know, and like, they don't really have a frame of reference for that. So they can just enjoy it for exactly what it is without having this sort of like filter, you know, where, you know, it's like, awesome. I saw that coming from a mile away, you know, because, you know, I've read lots of stories.
Right. Because they're coming in with fresh eyes. And for them, I'm going to assume your children have not seen Deadpool. So they have no idea, you know, how the original week was like, oh, but Deadpool, no, she did it first. Sorry. You know what I mean? Get used to it.
Yeah, the only thing they know about Deadpool is all of the 5,000 Deadpools at Dragon Con every year.
Yeah, they run through like the hotels like in a line of them. And it's like prance around the whole place. It's bizarre, as one would expect of, you know, 1,000 Deadpool cosplayers.
Yeah.
Random and weird.
Yeah. You always, when you run across a Deadpool cosplayer, you already know what you're in for if you're fixing to have an interaction with them, because if they're wearing that cosplay, that's who they are.
And so they've always got like a horror, and we didn't actually come across any this year, but usually they've got a small army of like really obnoxious Bible thumper.
Well, it's not like the first year we were there, it was Westside Baptist Church, which is the big like Westboro Baptist Church.
Yeah, the real messed up ones. And so occasionally you'll get a Deadpool cosplayer that's decided to go troll the street preachers. Oh, and it's so fun because they come up with the weirdest stuff. Yeah, it's always something.
What did you think about the fourth wall break overall? Like the whole thing? Like, I thought the whole thing was fantastic. I love the. I mean, it's great from start to finish there. I love the reaction in the writer's room when she comes in. They're talking about her like she's not like she.
Yeah.
Why is she here?
Yeah.
And
like, how did this happen? Is this real life?
Right. And then the one guy that just like totally overreacts. He's like, you know, I would murder you to protect Kevin.
Right.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Let's try it.
And then the guy at the desk, Kevin's, you know, before she goes back to Kevin, that makes her sign the NDA. And I loved how long the NDA was.
And like, she's a lawyer, she knows you should read the things.
Well, and they said that was
scrolling through it.
And the guy who was there was real. Real. This is what actually. So if we were going into Marvel, this is what we would see. I mean, can we not? Why? See, this is my thing. Why are we not showing some appreciation for that? Like, there is that moment. Like, we got to feel what they're feeling when they walk in. Like, we got to have that moment of what it's like to walk into Marvel and get to sign something. Yeah, we didn't get to sign it, but it's called using your imagination. And you got to just kind of enjoy seeing what they got to see. And it's like, that'd be cool, you know? So
yeah,
let's not go to Marvel. Marisha, if you ever get to go do costumes at Marvel, I like enjoy that for us.
Yeah. I don't think that's probably in my future, but it sure would be fun. Although I don't know. They do a lot of stuff in Atlanta. I don't have to go to LA to do that. Atlanta's a lot more attainable to LA in my life. I do not have any interest in living in LA. Just does not seem like
either.
Too many people.
Fourth wall break.
Fourth wall break. I thought it was fun. I know a lot of people griped about it, but I mean, people griped about everything on this show.
Exactly.
I thought it was fun. I thought it was unexpected. Because, you know, it's like, so the one thing that bugged me a little bit is like, we had all this, she was like, okay, take that out, but we didn't see how it panned out. We just like cut to the next scene. I was like, but what happened? What happened right there? You missed it.
Well, you were like so excited when Hulk showed up that you were like, yes. And then they like, okay, never mind.
No. Well, because I was excited to see him throw down with Abomination, because I was like, this is too fun, because you're like, let go of my cousin. I was like, this is really a fun dynamic, because he's like, I was trying to be good and be friends.
Right. Well, I watched Heroes Reforged, their reaction to this finale, and Hector Navarro on Heroes Reforged. He was like, he was like, when Hulk came out, I was so excited. And then later when she's talking to Kevin and she says, him showing up in my show to save the day, and he was like, and when she said that, then I felt bad for being so excited
to see him show up,
that the Hulk showed up.
That's funny.
But I think I just really think the finale was very clever.
Yeah, it was clever, smart.
Yeah.
You know.
So, and I mean, I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun.
Yeah.
All the things.
I know it's not everybody's cup of tea, but yeah, it was very clever. It was fun. If it was light, if you just didn't take it seriously, if you had fun with it, you had fun with it. If you didn't, then you were the one that was offended and upset. And I got no time for that. So, it's either have fun or, I would, if I didn't like it, I would have turned it off. I wouldn't have kept watching it, but I liked it. So I kept watching it. So.
Right. And that's the thing. And that's what we do here. And if you're here and you're watching this and you're just thinking, oh, these people are just shills for She-Hulk. So
we're not
here's the thing.
For anything.
If you haven't watched our show, this is what we do. We watch we watch shows, we watch movies, and we try to find the things that we enjoy about them.
And mostly talk about that.
And mostly talk about the things that we love.
Yeah.
We will, of course, address the things we don't. But I don't have fun talking negative about all the time. I do this to have fun. And so even if it's a movie that we didn't particularly enjoy, we're going to look for the things that we did enjoy in it.
Right. I mean, I think we've been pretty honest. Like we're like, these are 6 to 7s. Like we like the last 2. We're being honest. The things that we do like, and we've been respectful about the things that we didn't.
Yeah. We're doing the internet all wrong. We really are. Yeah. You can tell when you look at our numbers.
But you're here and we're so glad you're here.
That's the thing that we have, we have fun. And there's enough stressful things in life. This is another conversation we regularly have with our co-host, who I think is a little wiser than he probably ought to be at 21. He's like, there are enough things to be mad about in life. Like, why would I sit around and talk about things I'm mad about when I'm trying to have fun?
Right.
Good point. Good point.
Yeah, completely.
But I definitely feel, it's always, I feel like the end of the show always kind of sets some of the tone for how you feel about the whole thing. Except like WandaVision. Like the end of WandaVision was fine. But like I really loved the first part of it. The ending was like, oh, look, it's a Marvel ending. I mean, it was fine. It wasn't terrible. It wasn't amazing. It looked cool. It did some cool things. But but in general, for these kinds of things, I'm looking for how it ends, right? And so I feel like the fact that this one really ended well, and like and a speech about we gotta have a big third act with all the heroes get together, like the spiel that she gives, which is the same spiel that all the angry people give on the internet constantly about Marvel movies. So like all of that together was like, okay, that's fun. Like, we got to see Daredevil, and it wasn't a bad decision to have Daredevil come in on the second to last episode, because otherwise, let's not kid ourselves, it would very quickly have become the Daredevil show.
Yeah.
Because he's, that's what people talked about with that episode. People had very little to say about her, and lots to say about him. And so the fact that he just barely showed up in this one was I think probably a good call too.
Right.
And I did enjoy his dynamic with her family. I thought that was great.
Wow. I love the family. I love her dad No, that was from the actor from Perfect Strangers,
Mm-hmm.
and I just loved him. I was so excited because I remember, I don't know if it was, I think it was here, and I remember saying, I hope we get more of him because we didn't know we were going to get more of him. And actually, based IMBD actually got it wrong, and there was actually more of him coming. We just didn't know, and it was so good. I loved it. I liked actually that surprise that we got to see her family, and I'm like, yes. Yes.
Yeah, I'm glad they've done that. You know, we did a lot of family in Miss Marvel.
Miss Marvel, I know. I mean, Miss Marvel won out in a different way though, because that was more. But this was downright clever. Like the whole show was clever. You can't.
But I like doing this thing with these characters and seeing them with their families because we've never really done that.
Yeah. Nice.
You know, like even with Spider-Man, who that's usually a pretty critical part of who Spider-Man is, we didn't get to see just a whole lot of that because we never did the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, we threw this Spider-Man in the deep end real fast.
Well, and then we erased him from everyone's memories, so now he don't got a family or friends or nothing. Bless his little heart.
Yeah.
Very sad.
But maybe not in another multiverse.
Never can tell. We know we got at least other Spider-Mans out there somewhere.
Yes. Okay. I love. Yeah, I could easily talk about Spider-Man No Way Home all over again. That was just
man.
Yeah.
I mean, one of my favorites. I just. Now I don't have to choose between the Spider-Mans. I can go that one because it's got all of them.
I'm not. It's like the line is always like, oh, fan service. It's like, I'm a fan. I like to be served.
Yeah.
Like, oh, they did that so the fans would all cheer. Yeah, sure they did. And guess what? I was real happy.
I was happy. I was so happy.
But
like I saw that several times in the original theater, and then when I came back over the summer, I was like, "Oh my god, I'm going back! I got to see this." So, yeah.
But yeah, so you know, since we didn't get that for Peter Parker, at least we got to see that with some of our. And honestly, I feel like maybe that's something they're kind of. It seems like something they're kind of prioritizing a little bit. And I kind of wonder, you know, if that's just how it happened, or if maybe, you know, everybody being stuck in the house with their families for, you know, months at a time over COVID made people realize it's like, this is actually like what makes people tick. You know, people who couldn't see their families, you know, and so I feel like it was kind of a bit of a learning experience for a lot of people.
Yeah.
All of that. So I wonder if that's, or if they just kind of happened that way.
So ultimately, at the end of the day, Todd is our villain. And what do y'all think? How do y'all feel about the fact that we didn't get because we kind of thought there might be a bigger villain reveal coming.
Okay. I'm going to say this because I think it's still true. I think we're still going to actually get an actual villain in the long run. They were clever and it didn't happen this time around. For all we know, all the toxic people that we are sometimes are the real villains. You know what I mean? Who knows? But, you know, Todd's just a weasel. You know, that's my word.
Like he comes on and my kids go.
Yeah.
Like I'll look over. And I don't remember which one of my girls that was going. It was like, like, good job being self-aware enough. Like I've accomplished something as a mother. My daughter thinks that you're disgusting, you know?
Yeah. So I think we're going to still here's how we know. We already know that, you know, Harrison Ford signed on to the Red Hulk. Like we just know more stuff's coming.
Do we know for sure they're doing? Do we get an actual? I know he's playing
Thunderbolt Ross, right?
Yeah, I know he's playing Thunderbolt Ross. Did we get a confirmation that they're going to do Red Hulk?
I think that was part of the confirmation. That was that character. Yes. So, but again, I think eventually, or who knows, maybe the leader's coming in with the Hulk movie. We don't know, you know.
Could be. We also we also know that he's going to be the villain in the new Captain America movie.
Right. Yeah, see? So again, I mean, I felt like with She-Hulk, it felt like it was setting up for other stuff. Because remember, Todd was talking about the Wakanda like spirit, and I'm like, dude, you're just I just felt like they kept, setting things up, and I was just like, that's interesting. What's going to happen with Todd and this Wakanda, spear that he's got.
Yeah. So. See, I've accomplished something as a mother.
That's right.
She's right.
Yeah, I mean, they very much telegraphed that was the leader that was kind of behind things there. And I really like, part of me hopes that what they were really doing was hinting at She-Hulk possibly showing up in Captain America 4.
Right. Who knows? And it's possible because She-Hulk she was kind of all over the place. She was, she did other things. She was in the Fantastic Four. She was, an Avenger. She did other things. So we could really see where she goes. We could be anywhere.
She was definitely an Avengers. She was an Avenger in the Superhero Squad.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I know. Yeah. I don't read comic books, but my kids watch Superhero Squad. I used to.
Yeah.
So this is my extent of extra MCU.
Yeah.
Marvel knowledge is Superhero Squad.
Yeah. Now, as far as the actress, Mark Ruffalo has really been singing her praises.
Yes.
And he basically said the other day, he was like, look, she's part of the future of the MCU.
Yeah.
Like it or not, there's not going to be anything Avengers without She-Hulk. She's part of it now. So I am looking forward to seeing where she pops up, because she's another one of those characters. She could literally pop up anywhere.
Yeah, she really could be.
So I'll be curious to see how they tie her in, and I'm curious to see what her long-term connection to Matt Murdock is going to be, because we have She-Hulk and we kind of go Avengers, but then you've got Matt Murdock, who we've already been told is very much going to kind of be the Nick Fury of the street level heroes.
Right.
So is she gonna kind of play on both sides there, or what are we gonna do with her? And I'm curious about that.
I don't know. This is the moment where I kind of go wait and see. I don't know. Yeah. I do want to address something, because I know I saw this comment a couple times with the second to last episode. Everyone's like, but how can he even be a lawyer in California? How can he was even licensed? And I'm like, one, it's a show. Two,
it's a show with a large mutant green woman. And now you're worried about licensing laws.
Right. And I'm kind of like, well, did you want a fluffer episode that's fully fluff of watching Matt Murdock going into the courts, getting his, getting all of his licensing? Did you really want that? Because that doesn't jive. And this show really just showed us, like, how much either we take it too seriously, or those who just really, they're well, that's about the writing. Well, did you want a fluffer episode? Because I didn't think you wanted that. So
Well, and also like a 30-second Google search, Andrew was like, and they have a license that reciprocates in 30 states,
Yeah, there's a national bar exam that reciprocates. Now, probably not good for California in real life, if I had to guess, because they like to do things their own way. But
it's a show.
It's a TV show. It's not just a TV show. It's also a TV show that's used to be running concurrent with our real timeline and is now 5 years ahead of us.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
So, I think it's a fictional world, and we're going to focus on nitpicky things like that.
Yeah.
I think you're really trying way too hard to dislike something when you start reaching for things like that.
Right. Agreed. Again, but it was one of those comments I saw out there, and I was like,
I saw it a lot. Yeah, I saw that a lot. I was like, who cares? Like
there are things to complain about, but that's what you're going with.
But it's also interesting, though, is the people that don't use Twitter or don't use the social media who actually like it. Like, there are a lot of people, a lot of fans out there that actually like it, and they are not on Twitter and they're not on Facebook. So I'm curious as to where that percentage hits.
Let's be real clear here. Like, I like Andor. Okay. I like Andor better than this show. by the numbers, this show's topped Andor.
Yeah.
People are watching it. There may be a lot of people online that really don't like it, but there are a lot of people watching this show.
Possible, bro. Never know.
And so, like, for real, do the studios care what Twitter has to say if people are watching it? No. Now,
to a degree. Yes and no.
To a degree. I think they do. I think that I firmly believe that Marvel likely has people that their job is to scour through this stuff.
Yes, but as long as they're getting views, they're not going to change anything based on Twitter outrage.
Right. Well, it's like, you know.
But now if their views tank, then they're going to go to the Twitter and see why.
Yeah.
Or at least try and get an idea.
Yeah. First and foremost, viewer numbers matter more than anything else to them. And that's why, you know, Rings of Power, it's the same thing. There's a lot of hate for Rings of Power. Its numbers are just for a once a week release show, its numbers are astronomical. Now it's nowhere near, you know, like when you look at things like the Nielsen numbers, like they're super high. Now, and everybody points and says, well, it's not as high as Stranger Things. Well, Stranger Things, of course, had more views during its first week because they dropped all 8 episodes. So because Nielsen works on minutes, on minutes viewed. And which is a great metric. It's a better metric than pretty much anything else you can do. It's just how many minutes did people watch it? And of course, Stranger Things, anytime you drop, that's why Netflix has like Nielsen ratings, some of the highest things of all time, because they drop the whole season at once, and then they get all the, you know, people sit down the night it drops, watch the whole series.
Yeah.
And so that skews it.
Then you got me, who then goes back and then rewatches them all again, because I absolutely love Stranger Things, and I love like that's how I know I like a show, is I go back and I'll rewatch the other past seasons.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think largely with TV shows, if you have a TV show that you rewatch, you're probably it's probably a really good show, and you probably really like that show to be rewatching it. It's like The Office. I watched The Office on repeat. I don't know how many times I've watched The Office all the way through, but it's definitely double digits.
My kids know a lot of the ongoing jokes in The Office just from having heard it in the background over the years.
But like,
I'm here.
But with this show, like, I have already watched this final episode 3 times because I really thought it was that clever and well done.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Good night, Hectolorian. Thanks for hanging out. I know it's getting a little late. We're gonna wrap it up here shortly.
I know. I'm like, I gotta put my phone on charger.
Funny how that happens.
In a busy day.
But I can't wait to see where they go with this show. I saw Joker Voice made a comment earlier about the writers admitting that they didn't know a lot about law. And I know before this came out, everybody was trying to compare it to Ally McBeal. But it turned out almost all the writers were too young to even know what Ally McBeal was. They even said that. They were like, everybody keeps comparing this to this show that we had never heard of.
Well, that's because they did actually have like Ally McBeal like references, and they did actually have like.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. I think when people kept saying, "Oh, it's going to be like Ally McBeal," and of course the head writer knew what it was, but her writing team did not.
Right, and maybe they should have said, "Here, watch this and get to know this," because we know, like in the last episode, they also had, you know, Aaron Brockovich, which of course is still really big to this day in real life. And then Legally Blonde. Now that I would hope they would have seen.
Which is like, oh, that's a good reference.
Yeah.
But at the same time, everybody's like, well, they admitted they didn't really know a lot about law, or, you know, writing for. It's like they didn't do a lot of law. For a show called She-Hulk Attorney at Law, there wasn't a lot of lawyering involved.
Yeah.
Which is fine because it didn't have to be about that. That's just part of who she is. It's.
Right.
The story, as we established firmly in the final episode, is about this kind of her learning to love both parts of herself.
Right, exactly. And that doesn't mean that we won't see that in the long run.
Oh, and I think we will.
Right, because I think that's what made the first one with Daredevil, Charlie Cox, really good, is that we got a little bit of both sides. We got a little bit of lawyering, and then we got a little bit of, a little bit of action, and then action also happened. If you caught my drift, in a polite way. And I thought that's what made that a really good episode. So hopefully that they'll find the balance for that. And
I think they will, and I think that's really what they were built to. I think that it was a really good introduction to the character. And we end off with her being interviewed outside the courthouse, and she says, what's your plan? She tells him her plan, and he says, well, in the courtroom or is She-Hulk?
Right.
Both. It's very much the kind of this part of why Daredevil was important to the story, was kind of giving her someone to learn that balance from.
Right.
And that being able to be both has value.
Right. Exactly.
So I really just like this as an origin story. The whole thing, it's silly. It does a lot of camp, which I have no problem with. I mean, Bruce Campbell is one of my favorite actors of all time, so I love camp. So I have no problem with it. I like the silliness. I like a lot of what they did, and I think that, and I really just love this character. It's a character I didn't know a lot about, and even though I think the show is kind of mediocre, I really love the character.
Yeah.
And I thought the actress did a phenomenal job with it. And so I can't wait to see more of her going forward.
Yeah. Yeah. And we know from their interactions, that he called her fuzzball. That was real life. That was real life, and something they just added into the show because that was just them being natural and being themselves.
Yeah.
Like, that's how fuzzball came up. And then they just incorporated it, which is cool. Fun fact.
Yeah.
So.
But I love where we left off. I thought the whole thing with her dad questioning Matt Murdock was hysterical at the end.
Like, that's what you get for bringing a guy that, hooked up with once home to meet your parents. Like, how'd you think that was going to go now?
Like, how are you going to explain that he's now moved on, but now y'all have to be friends,
Right.
Because the friend zone's coming.
But so for both of y'all, as a whole, kind of as we wrap up here, as a whole, what are your overall thoughts on how you enjoyed the show, the creation of this character, and kind of what you hope to see from her going forward? I'll let you start, Nicole.
Okay. Again, overall, I liked the show. I'm excited to see what's going to happen with She-Hulk. I hope that we continue to get the fun Easter eggs and the funny references, but I like them to make it maybe step up a notch, maybe, but I don't want them to lose their cleverness. That was smart on their part.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting. I'm excited. We'll see. Enjoy the journey.
I thought it was a fun show. I really could not have cared less about it when it started.
Yeah.
It's not one that I was waiting up for the show to drop or anything like that, but whenever we got around to it, I enjoyed watching it. And the last two episodes were really fun. I feel like the last two episodes kind of elevated the rest of the season for me. So that's kind of my takeaway from it, I guess. How about you, Love?
Well, I kind of did mine before I asked, but
okay.
But I did. I enjoyed the characters. I love what they did with Emil Blonsky. I'm really curious to see where he's going forward. I liked that at the end of the day, he was just doing this thing for the money and had no idea what he was speaking at. And when it comes down to it, he protects Jen.
Mm-hmm.
And
which was a character, really good character development for him.
Yeah.
Character growth, man. We got that. We got Emil Blonsky actually growing as a character, and that was really awesome.
Yeah, and that's part of why I'm really excited to see what they do with him, because I initially was like, oh, he's going to be in Thunderbolts. That's, he needs to be in the Thunderbolts, and he still could be. Mm-hmm. But I'm really kind of more now going, no, he's going to do something with whatever's happening with Doctor Strange next.
Possibly.
I think he's going to go sit at Carmitage and do alms for a while.
Write haikus.
Write haikus.
What was the name of his book? Deep Haikus? Or...
Something real lame. So she's like, this is terrible. Yeah. Haikus are a little, like, it's not my favorite form of poetry.
You don't want to start writing Red 5 haikus?
I mean, I could, but they wouldn't be very good.
You just take stuff from the chat and then write haikus.
That's
about
true.
it.
I get your sister to help me. I hear she was a member of the Bad Poet Society in college.
Burn.
No, like she was telling me all about how they used to write like anonymous poems to people and sign them from the Bad Poet Society. Maybe we'll revive it.
Cool. Well, I think that's a good place to wrap up. I can't wait to see what they do next. And please don't.
Please don't.
Yeah, I said something in front of her. It's been a couple months now. It was just a bad dad joke. And she goes, Dad, no.
That's funny.
But,
yeah. They don't always think we're cool anymore, alas. Which is okay, but it's kind of fun.
I think we'll probably wrap up here, and hopefully we get some news real soon about what's next for She-Hulk.
Yeah. Excited to hear where we're going next. I think it'll be fun. Wait, so are we back at GLK&H? Is that what we think?
I don't know that did they tell us that she was back with?
Good question. I assumed. So my bad. I shouldn't have assumed, but I assumed.
Yeah, I'm curious. I don't think they actually told us.
No judgment here. No judgment. We're good.
All right. Marisha, where can people find you online?
You can't. I don't like it.
Just here.
Just follow Charlie Cox and be like, peace out, people.
Occasionally you can find me on Instagram at princesses_and_padawans. It's much more likely to be pictures of my children than anything else because they're cute. And if I'm really excited about something entertainment-wise, you might happen to find me on Twitter at Padawans.
Yeah.
All right. What about you, Nicole? Where can people find you and your podcast, and what have y'all got going on?
All right. So I am 1/3 of Rogue One Radio. We are on Tuesday nights, part of the Red 5 Network. Currently, we are, I wouldn't say a full review of Andor, but giving our own little new take on our thoughts and things with Andor. We're going to actually be doing Lost Stars soon, so I'm excited for that.
Oh, yeah.
No, I'm excited.
Good luck.
Yeah, and that's Rogue One Radio on YouTube, or again, we're on Twitter as well. And I'm actually Peace Love Fandoms, that is on Instagram and TikTok and Twitter, and actually one half Peace Love Disney on Facebook. So, great for me.
Awesome. You can find me. Yeah, thanks for coming on. We really appreciate having you on to talk She-Hulk with us.
Thank you. I know it's good to have people to nerd out about it.
Yeah.
Although if you see me excited now, just wait until we get to the Muppets, and then that's a new game.
Bets are off.
Yeah. Well, Marisha's making me go to Atlanta for a wedding this weekend, and she offered to drive, so I anticipate writing Muppet outlines while I'm riding.
Yes.
We should bring some Muppet DVDs and just look. I did it.
You did it.
I did it.
So, Iana, sorry, we're going to tell on you here. Iana has, ever since she was very little, says DVD instead of D. When she was real little, she would say DVDs instead of DVDs. And now she knows it's not DVDs, but she still just says it. And that's what Marissa
just say we're going to watch DVDs. You're going to watch Muppet DVDs in the backseat. Alas.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, you can find me running the Twitter account for this show at sci_fictionary. You can drop us a line at thesciencefictionary@gmail.com. As always, you can find our podcast as well as all of the rest of the Red 5 podcasts at Red 5 Network on Twitter and at bio.link/Red5. And until next time, may the Force be with you.
Bye.
This podcast is a member of the Red 5 Network. For more Red 5 Network podcasts and content creators, visit bio.link/Red5.